We can officially start now. Welcome again at the webinar entitled I Support My Friends, Empowering Children to Support Each Other in the Unity in Care project. The webinar takes place in the frame of the EU-funded Unity in Care project. My name is Marta Bene. I'm a Child Protection Project Manager at Terdezom office in Budapest, and I will be facilitating today's webinar. On behalf of the Unity in Care Project Consortium, namely Terdezom and ISMF organizations, we thank you for your interest in this event today. Next slide, please. Thank you. Let me share some housekeeping considerations with you before start. The webinar's duration is around 90 minutes. We plan to finish at 4 o'clock Central European Time. The webinar is held in English. All participants are muted during the webinar. You can interact with the panelists in written. In case you experience technical difficulties, please reach out via chat. In case of questions and reflections on the presentations, please write these in the QA sections in the bottom of the Zoom. We will be monitoring all your inputs and will address your interactions. There will be a dedicated time for questions and answers after the presentations. The webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be freely available on the Child Protection Hub platform after the webinar. The link will be shared with the participants via email. The presentation slides and resources will be available on the Child Protection Hub platform, the webinar freely, and also this link will be shared with the attendees via email after the webinar. At the end of the webinar, we will be curious to hear feedback from you, and we will kindly ask you to complete a short poll. These are the housekeeping considerations. Next slide, please. Thank you. Let's see together what is the agenda for today's event. At the beginning, we will share with you a short overview about the Unity in Care project. This is the project in the frame we are implementing the I Support My Friend methodology and this webinar too. We will also speak a bit about Terdezom's MHPSS framework, mental health and psychosocial support framework. After that, speakers will be sharing with you experiences on the implementation of the I Support My Friends methodology. On behalf of TDH Hellas, you will hear about the role of peer support in youth well-being. Then, on behalf of TDH Kosovo, there will be an intervention about the peer support in the I Support My Friends methodology, training experience with adolescents. After that, there will be experiences shared from Albania on behalf of NISMA ARSIS, entitled Linking I Support My Friends with Children's Needs Protection Systems and Mental Health Services in Albania. After that, we will move to Romania. On behalf of TDH Romania, you will hear a case study, Benefits of I Support My Friend on Class Dynamics. And as already mentioned, after the interventions, there will be a dedicated time to hear your questions, see your questions in written, and give an answer, share reflections. This is the agenda for today. Next slide, please. Thank you. Who are our presenters today? We have professionals, experienced experts from 4 countries. Let me welcome you here. Bora Lala, school psychologist from Albania. Eleftheriára Vidu, MHPSS coordinator from Terdezom Hellas, Olga Mititelu, educator from Terdezom Romania, and on behalf of TDH Kosovo, Skurt Bajgora, school psychologist. Please go to the next slide. You are already here. Thank you very much. So let's start to present the Unity in Care project to you. Short overview. The full title of the project is Advancing Mental Health Support Systems for Vulnerable Children and Youth. This is an EU-funded project implemented under the call Serve 2024 Child. The project duration is from 1st of January last year, and the end date will be the last day of this year. Let me share with you some background and the main objective. Vulnerable children and youth are exposed to a higher incidence of mental health distress because of the adverse experiences they might have faced, as evidenced by situation analysis conducted in Romania, Greece, Albania, and Kosovo, which are the implementing countries of the Unity in Care project. Yet public health systems are too often ill-equipped, both in terms of capacities and resources, to meet these needs. Hence, the Unity in Care project proposes universal and indicated preventative mental health and psychosocial support measures to be delivered both by mental health and non-mental health professionals, including local NGOs, CBOs, aiming to strengthen the resilience of vulnerable children and youth. This will result, as it foreseen in the project, in interventions being more accessible, less expensive, more integrated within the current life circumstances of vulnerable children and youth, at the same time reducing the burden on mental health specialized institutions. As mentioned, 4 countries are implementing the project for 2 years: Albania, Greece, Kosovo, Romania. In Albania by NISMA ARSIS, in the other 3 countries by Terdezom. And Terdezom Hungary is acting as a coordinator of the project. The Unity project is conceptually grounded in the Terdezom MHPSS framework, so the Mental Health and Psychosocial Support framework. So it's time to speak about this framework. This is the framework that we utilize when we are ideating and implementing our mental health and psychosocial support and child protection projects. We will share the link of the MHPSS framework in the chat, so you can see it in detail, read it in detail. Here on the slide, you can see the core elements of the MHPSS framework. What is important to emphasize at the very beginning, that all the elements are interconnected and should be considered simultaneously when designing, implementing, monitoring, and evaluating MHPSS interventions. Let's start from the left side. Here you can see the 5 pillars or building blocks of well-being. These are the pillars of safety and security, relationships and connections, roles, responsibilities and identities, justice and rights, and hope and meaning. In situations of vulnerability, these 5 core psychosocial pillars become unstable. As such, exposed children, families, communities are being supported in this stabilization process to have those pillars stabilized to regain psychosocial well-being. The next element that you can see in the middle of the slide is the resilience capacity approach. For Terdezom, there are 3 levels of resilience. These are the capacity to cope, the capacity to adapt, and the capacity to transform. With this, we underscore that MHPSS interventions should ultimately look at supporting the transformative capacities. Moving ahead, the next element that you can see in the middle of the slide is the so-called socio-ecological model, which acknowledges the importance of considering parents, communities, and the systems in which the child develops when supporting their well-being. On the right side, you can see the MHPSS pyramid that stresses that each level of the pyramid is equally important in preventing individual and collective distress and in supporting mental health and psychosocial well-being. As such, the service provision is based on the understanding that the psychosocial well-being and mental health exist on a continuum across the 4 layers of the pyramid. And last but not least, the final element of the framework looks at the necessary cross-cutting considerations. Which are these considerations? These are the community-based mental health and psychosocial support, gender and diversity, contextual approach, and right-based participation. Taken together, the MHPSS framework articulates a common goal of promoting psychosocial well-being and resilience at any stage of evolving context and evolving needs. Finally, the framework is adaptable to account for contextual definitions of mental health and psychosocial well-being within different socio-cultural contexts. Next slide, please. Thank you. In order to translate the MHPSS framework you heard about into practice and to holistically support children's psychosocial well-being, we implement several complementary methodologies. In the Unity in Care project, we are implementing 4 methodologies. Each of them will be presented through a dedicated webinar. On the slide, you can see the layout of the manuals related to these 4 methodologies. The links of these methodologies will be shared in the chat, English version and also the contextualized and translated versions. On the left side, you can see the methodology called Movement, Games and Sports and Creativity, abbreviated as MGSC. We already held a webinar to share experiences on the implementation of this methodology last year in the frame of the Unity in Care project. It is a third-zone methodology which uses sports, games, and creativity as a psychosocial tool to develop the personal and social skills of vulnerable children aged 4-14 and therefore improve their resilience and psychosocial well-being. The next methodology, you can see in the middle, so-called Move and Engage. In autumn, there will be a webinar organized to present the experiences on the implementation of this methodology. This is a third-zone methodology, just as the movement, sport, games and sports creativity. And this Move and Engage methodology aims to support children and youth aged from 12 to 20 in improving their self and collective efficacy, to address issues in their environment that concern them, their family, school, community. Throughout the process, designed in the methodology, their psychosocial resilience is being strengthened. One of the key aspects of the Move and Engage methodology is the development of concrete initiatives by youth in order to address one of the challenges to their well-being in their environment. You will see in the middle also the I Support My Friends methodology. All this webinar is dedicated to this methodology. And the last one, the last methodology we are implementing in the frame of the Unity in Care project is the so-called CAP Toolbox. The full name is Walking the Journey Child Advisory Board Methodological Toolbox. It is designed by Terdesom, and this methodological guide is intended for all professionals working with children and adolescents who wish to establish and facilitate child and youth advisory boards to foster their participation and motivation. Next slide, please. After this introduction, we arrived to the point to start speaking about the I Support My Friends methodology, which is the core topic of today's webinar. The I Support My Friend methodology, abbreviated, yes, you can see here, it's a 4-part resource kit, which was developed by 4 organizations: UNICEF, Save the Children, the MHPSS Collaborative, and WHO. The training itself, the I Support My Friends training, builds on existing evidence-informed materials, also the organization's global experience in working with children and adolescents. It's important to mention at the very beginning that I Support My Friends shouldn't be implemented as a standalone program, but it is intended to be used as an activity within a larger program. During the interventions, you will understand why. The basic starting concept of the methodology is that young people are the first to notice if one of their peers is facing difficulties. And as they are the first to notice, they are in the best position to be able to provide peer support. So, in a nutshell, I Support My Friends methodology strengthens children's natural helping roles and builds their capacities with new skills. In other words, I Support My Friends methodology empowers children and adolescents to identify and support their peers in distress while recognizing the role that they naturally play in the protective networks of their peers. How the methodology works in a nutshell, it builds on the principles of psychological first aid to equip children and adolescents aged from 9 to 17 with the skills and knowledge to support their friends in distress under the mentorship and guidance of trusted adults. The psychological first aid principles are listed here on the slide: look, listen, link. Overall, the methodology recognizes the agency and capacity of children and adolescents to develop the skills to support their friends, their peers, and ensures that they can do this peer supporting safely with close adult supervision and attention to safeguarding. Next slide, please. How it works in practice. The peer support approach that helps friends recognize, respond to, and support one another through challenges. This approach encourages active listening and empathy, helps the individuals identify signs that a friend or peer may need support due to a distress. It promotes safe and non-judgmental conversation and connects to friends to appropriate help and resources when needed. It was already mentioned that the adults play a key role in the process. They have a key role to ensure that this peer support is being done safely. Some aspects to consider why adults' role is important in the methodology. Not to put too much pressure on young people to be supporters for each other, because this should work on a voluntary basis. Not all children and young people would be a peer supporter, and not all children and young people will want to be supported. It's also important to ensure that young people who are acting as peer supporters have the support they need. Also to ensure that young people not to take on adult responsibilities or replace the roles of adults or role of a functioning social support system. You will hear from the presenters that there is an important figure in the methodology, a trusted adult, so-called focal point. Mainly the focal point is to support the peer supporters in their rights. It has an important piece in the supervision process, and the focal point also knows what are the resources available in the community, how to connect with these resources, how to make referrals in case of need. Next slide, please. Thank you. And to give you a very short overview how the I Support My Friends methodology is implemented in the Unity in Care project, in general, in the 4 countries. It's very important that the methodology, the 4-part resource kit, was translated and contextualized into the local context of the implementing countries, so the context of Albania, Greece, Kosovo, and Romania. The contextualization process or adaptation process was done including children and adults, with the aim to reflect each country's social and cultural realities as much as possible. There was a training of trainers at regional level implemented in Budapest last year. And after that, the trained adults organized, implemented national replication training for adults in each country. So Albania, Greece, Kosovo, and Romania. After that, this knowledge was cascaded, and the trained professionals trained the children to become peer supporters. Of course, during the implementation of the methodology, the supervision, coaching, and mentoring are a crucial part for many reasons, mainly for safeguarding, for safe implementation, for meaningful implementation, for quality assurance. So this is how is implemented overall in the project, the methodology. And now we can hear from our colleagues how is it implemented in each of the 4 countries. And I will give the floor to Eleftheria Aravidou, MHPSS coordinator from Terre des Hommes, Hellas. She will start her presentation with the conceptual basis of the peer support approach, and we'll share also recent experiences on the I Support My Friend methodology in Greece in the frame of the EU-funded Unity in Care project. Thank you, Eleftheria. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Marta, and thank you for the introduction and the nice overview of the I Support My Friends methodology. First of all, let me welcome you and thank you for making the time to join this webinar on the importance of peer support, focusing on this specific methodology. Next slide, please. So global data reveals a mental health crisis among children and young people, as concerns are alarming, with rising instances of anxiety, depression, and other emotional difficulties being reported. WHO says that 1 in 7 10 to 19 years old experience a mental disorder, and especially with 50% of the mental health disorders being established by the age of 14, it is crucial to understand that making an early intervention that can actually foster children's and young people's well-being is very critical. Next slide, please. So peer support is not a newly introduced concept or idea or method. It has been introduced back in the 1970s. And if we want to create a common understanding about what peer support is, we can say that it is the wealth of knowledge, skills, and experience that children and young people can utilize, can use in a way that is planned, in a way that is structured, in order to support, inform, and help other peers, other children and young people to develop skills, to develop confidence and self-awareness. One of the main elements of peer support that we need to underline is having a common background, common experiences, life stories to share, or common characteristics with the people I'm providing support as a peer supporter. Next slide, please. So peer support programs can actually take different forms, a variety of forms. It could be peer mentoring or peer counseling or support groups. Peer support can also be some group activities and structure intervention. But the primary aim among all these different forms of the peer support project is the same, is to create this caring, this safe, this supportive community that will enable for children to feel safe, to feel protected, for risks to be minimized, and for protective factors to be enhanced in order to empower children and young people to seek for help when this is needed. Next slide, please. So, based on some very recent research evidence on how peer support programs can actually impact children's and youth mental health, it is highlighted that the concept of peer support has been utilized and can be utilized to equip children with the tools and the resources that they can use so they can easily identify if something is happening to them, and also to manage their mental health symptoms, and also offer support to their peers that might be in need. And this is done not only by providing emotional support through empathy and through understanding, but also by providing practical and informational support. Peer support projects can actually contribute to leverage the social interactions of children and create more caring and more safe social networks among peers. Next slide, please. So as the main content of the implementation of the I support methodology is the school environment, it is crucial and important to understand how peer support programs can act as a protective factor for children in schools. Again, based on research evidence and based on the experience that the colleagues later on will share about their experience in their context, shifting towards peer support approaches and programs in the daily culture of school life can actually decrease incidence of bullying, increase student engagement, and enhance academic performance. Actually, it was highlighted during the recent research that students participating in this type of programs are 4 times more likely to refer themselves or their peers to trustful adults, so to activate actually the referral pathways and to build on their help-seeking skills, and consequently reducing risks and empowering protective factors for them. Next slide, please. Of course, these projects, as all projects and mental health intervention, comes with some challenges and some things that we need to take into consideration, that we cannot overlook the existing challenges while delivering relevant project. What is very important to underline is that all the students participated in the program as peer supporters should be adequately trained so as to be able to handle different situations, and it is very important to ensure that a robust and a very clear framework is being established that kind of actually limits the peer involvement and highlights the type of the intervention the professionals should have in this type of project, so as to prevent also a possible risk of burning out among people providing support. At this point, we should say that the professionals participating in this project should have the final responsibility in dealing with the cases that might need special attention. So they should be not experts, but at least have a background in handling serious mental health issues so they can adequately support children. And also they should create a framework, a more contextualized framework that can be applied to diverse student population, taking into consideration different elements of culture. Next slide, please. So in Greece, we are implementing this methodology, and this project is still ongoing. We haven't concluded our intervention at two different public high schools in Attica region in Athens, with a total of 35 student boys and girls participating, age 14 to 16 years old. So far, we have implemented 8 training sessions, 4 in each school. And we would like to share at this point some of the things that we have noticed as impact based only on our intervention, because we haven't been involved in any official monitor and evaluation processes, what the implementation team and what the educators have noticed since the beginning of this project. First of all, students act in a more confident way, and their levels of engagement in the classroom have increased significantly. Educators says to us that what they have noticed is that students can speak up more easily, talk about their emotions in a way that makes them feel safe. And of course, the relationships between students have also improved. Another thing that is very important is that students have started talking and speaking openly about their future plans, as if they kind of have started developing this capacity to project themselves positively in the future. And last, an overall sense that the educators have is that children have started to have a kind of a sense of they belong to a specific group. They have a role in their school community. As I said, this project is still ongoing. It will be concluded the first months of the next school year. So we would be happy to share the final results when this project is over. So next slide. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Eleftheria, for your insights. The next presenter will be Shkurt Baigora, school and counseling psychologist, who will speak about how to train adolescents in Kosovo on peer support approach using the I Support My Friends methodology. The floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Marta. And thank you, Eleftheria, as well, for providing such an informational presentation and providing the base for what I'm going to share as well. Thank you also to everyone who found time to join us today and learn more about the ISMF methodology. So, as mentioned, my name is Shkurta, and I'm a school and counseling psychologist. And this methodology was one of the best things that I have learned in the few last years. Why is that? Because peers, as you can see, as you know, are often the first source of support, and they just don't have the tools on how to provide that support. So having the chance to do that first with the professionals and then with the adolescents gave me a more wider perspective at first, and then more personal touch after having the opportunity to implement this methodology. So, as we all know, schools are one of the most important environments for promoting well-being, and it's not usually well done. So, this methodology provides practical tools for safe peer support. Adolescents, as we heard the numbers and as we all know, are increasingly facing emotional and social challenges, and they don't usually have a place to share that with or a person to share that with. So, giving them a few of the tools to help each other out through this methodology was very helpful. So, the main goal was to strengthen these peer support capacities among first the professionals and then the adolescents in Kosovo. Next slide, please. Okay, so the first phase, we did this with a colleague of mine, Diyar Hayrizi, when after we got trained for this methodology last year, then we got to implement it in Kosovo with school psychologists, with teachers, with social workers, and mental health professionals. Here in the photo is shown how we're doing the look, listen, link when we try to through the actions to more explain how it works and that how it can be transmitted to the children and to the adolescents as well. So the focus of the training was to learn more about the psychological first aid principles because in Kosovo we get to learn a lot through our university years and even more through trainings and workshops. But of course, more information every time is welcome, and training like this was also very welcomed by these professionals. We talked more about peer support and communication, how using specific words, how we can try to offer that help without sounding like we're offering help, but just giving a shoulder to rely on. We talked more and explained about the look, listen, link approach, and the part about confidentiality and safe referral. Because having a person, for example, I work at a high school, and one of the main concerns with students is if I tell you something, will you tell my parents or my teacher or something else? So the confidentiality part and making sure that the children feel safe to express themselves with us, that's very important. And then expressing themselves with their friends and knowing where is a safe referral. So if a friend or a child needs help, where can they find it? So we provided them with information and where can they look for help or where can they safely refer someone. So next slide, please. The second phase was training the adolescents. Here in the pictures are shown my students that we had the pleasure to have this training. They are aged 15 to 18, so classes 10, 11, and 12 here in Kosovo. What activities we included were we had a lot of interactive discussions where we tried to create some situations and how we would react to those. On the lower photo, you can see the mapping, some drawings, that's community mapping, where they try to draw their community, like the circle, welcome to Pristina, and then where they feel safe to go or where can they go to ask for help. So there's some drawings of hospitals, of Kosovo police, of a school. Someone drew perhaps a teacher or a parent or a best friend, and they also drew some places that are not very safe for them, like some parks at night or something like this. So role plays and scenarios were very helpful, but they were not enough because they all the time had more information to provide and explained and shared with us some informations or situations that they were in and how they were affected by those and how they took action for that. So this was very helpful for them as well. We tried to do more active listening exercises. Whoever works with children knows that getting to do some active listening is very hard in the beginning, especially when they're very young. So we got to try to do that, to respect each other's opinion, to wait until someone else finishes what they're talking about, and then try to give our opinion in a respectful way as well. And then we try to apply that in a situation where someone could come to us for asking for help, and then how we would talk back, how we would offer that help. And then we did some more reflection activities where we tried to summarize everything that we tried to learn through these activities. So the topics that were explored were emotional support mainly, friendship and how to build that trust, mental health awareness, and how to seek help safely. We stopped a lot at mental health awareness. Um, we tried to do a lot of activities that bring awareness to the mental health, but of course, it's never enough. So this training was also helpful to know for what they could ask for help or to who that they could go for a specific situation they're in. Next slide, please. Thank you. So, how were their reactions and how did they engage in this? So, as per the methodology, the students are separated in multiple groups and they were highly engaged throughout all the sessions. They shared personal experiences, challenges they had. We did a lot of interactive activities, as I mentioned, which also increased participation and then increased trust in each other and in me as well. And students were valued by being listened to by their peers. So, what stood out, in my opinion, was the strong empathy among students. They were very interested in learning how to support their friends safely, and through our practical exercises, there was a lot of positive responses to them doing the group work. As shown in the pictures, they're separated into groups and they got the chance to draw their community mappings and all the other activities that they had. Next slide, please. So, what was the observed impact? The increased awareness about mental health and peer support was the main one and the most important one for this. Improved communication and listening skills. They got to listen to each other and to learn a few new words and how to express themselves. A greater understanding. Students felt empowered to help peers responsibly. So they shared some scenarios or situations that they were in and how they didn't know what to say, or just trying to support them through saying, it's going to get better, you're going to be okay, and general stuff like this. But they learned how to help them more responsibly and how to be more proactive in helping them. The professionals recognize the importance of integrating peer support approaches within schools and within their mental health services. The system here in Kosovo not usually provides the peer support part, but it's mainly expected from the adults to offer that help. So it was very welcomed from professionals to recognize the importance of integrating peer support as well. And they saw the importance that the peers can offer in many situations. Next slide. So, what were the challenges and what were the lessons learned? Initial hesitation in discussing mental health topics. We tried to talk a lot about mental health and how we should speak openly about it. But of course, in this classroom, there were adolescents from multiple ages and multiple classes, so it didn't come easily to start and share their experiences, but we got there eventually because we learned that building trust and openness requires time. So there was a need for continuous adult supervision and support. They, of course, as a lot of students tended to go into separate conversations, but with some small minor support, they got back to what they were doing. So what were their lessons learned? Adolescents respond best to interactive methods, and we should just try to let go from the classical way we do things and try to offer more help in our using interactive methods. Peer support creates safer spaces for discussion. And we learned and we know that schools play a key role in early psychosocial support, but the professionals and also the students got to learn more about how it works and how they can more easily find support and where can they find that. Next slide. So in conclusion, we try to express multiple times that peer support does not replace professional care, but it strengthens the connection, the resilience, and early support among adolescents. And how are we moving forward? We're continuing strengthening our school-based peer support. We're trying to encourage collaborations between schools and also mental health services, and trying to expand the youth participation in well-being initiatives. So this is what I had to share for my experience with ISMF, and of course, please feel free to write any questions you have. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your insights and experiences. Yes, dear participants, please feel free to share your reflections, questions for the speakers in the QA feature that you can find in the bottom of the Zoom screen. And the next presenter is Bora Lala, school psychologist from Albania, who will be sharing how the I Support My Friends methodology works in a school in order to create a safer school environment. Bora, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bora, and I'm a psychologist in a public school in Tirana. Today, I will share with you a practical perspective on how I Support My Friend can be linked to children needs, protection system, and mental health services in Albania. Next slide, please. As I said before, I work in a public school in Tirana where there are 700 children from vulnerable communities. Around 30% of students face challenging life conditions, including low household incomes, family separation or divorce, migration backgrounds, presence of Roma and Egyptian communities, and limited parental support due to economic and social factors. The school has a profile of community center, and the pilot program is launched in May for the after-school programs and summer school, also designed to support all children. Next slide, please. There are many situations in school where psychological first aid is needed, but I will mention the most common and the frequent situations. Conflicts or physical fights within the classroom are the most typical, and we manage them almost every week or every month. Bullying in the form of cyberbullying, exclusion, labeling, situations influenced by family dynamics, like death of a family members, illness, domestic violence, divorce, or other family crisis. Learning difficulties or academic stress, and accidents or injuries at school. You can add others also. Next slide, please. There are many actors that influence school safety, and I would like to explain them. In Albania, in recent years, a new position has been added to school, which is the security officer, whose main role is to prevent violence and intervene in cases of conflict or bullying. The security officer is an important position in supporting school psychosocial service through the identification and referral of cases that may need counseling or follow-up. Also, there is the child protection unit and child protection worker, which is another important actor in preventing violence and coordinating interventions with other support structures. And of course, teacher and parents play a key role in ensuring the safety and well-being of children inside and outside the school. Their involvement depends on their awareness and the importance of children's mental health and psycho-emotional well-being. Next slide, please. Okay. As I said before, teacher and parent are important in providing immediate emotional comfort, observing changes in behavior, emotions, or academic performance, reducing acute distress, maintaining routines and a sense of stability for the child, and connecting children with necessary resources, such as services provided by organizations as NISMARSIS or activities focused to the well-being approach. Next slide, please. Also, I would like to explain the mental health referral pathways. There are some limited referral pathways as mental health. There is still stigma in Albania. There are challenges such as limited access, stigma, and lack of specialized services for children and teens. This make early support in school, including peer-based approaches like I support my friend, even more important. Because of these limitations, schools play a critical role as the first line of identification and support. Next slide, please. At the beginning of the school year, I decided to include the I Support My Friend methodology in the annual work plan as an innovation for children and teens at school. Psychological first aid has long been seen as an intervention that could only be carried out by adults or professionals. During this year, I had the opportunity to help students understand why PFA is important and how we could create an effective network within the school. In collaboration with the student government and the tutor teachers who served as focal points as well, I Support My Friend became one of the simplest and at the same time the most necessary interventions at school. In practice, this helps students feel more comfortable sharing their concerns with someone their own age, and this approach increased early identification of students in emotional distress. The training and knowledge shared highlighted the importance of being listened, looked, and linked with peers and by other professionals. Students' feedback indicated increased confidence in recognizing situations that require PFA and in providing an appropriate initial response to support their peers. Next slide, please. In a summary table, I have outlined it, how I Support My Friend has changed some of the typical situations that children face related to PFA. Before I Support My Friends, students may hesitate to share their concerns, as Shurta mentioned before. And after I Support My Friend activities, they raise confidence, build trust, and create their own safe space for sharing distress situations. At the beginning, it was the fear of stigma or the fear of being judged. And after the sessions, we began to promote to their peers the importance of not being judged and how to help to disclose a risk situation. It was a limited time and safe spaces in school, so we arranged to find a special area for the sessions. And during the activities, they started to plan and design activities and to feel more confident to participate in such activities, even after the school hours. We promote the importance of three principles of I support my friend, look, listen, and link. And children have raised their awareness about the mechanism of the focal point and how to refer a case within the school. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay. I would like to close this presentation with some of the recommendations that the children and young people shared with each other in a group after completing the I Support My Friend methodology sessions. They highlighted the ongoing training for peer supporters and to repeat these activities year after year. Regular supervision by school psychologists, social worker, and a dedicated focal point, clear guidelines and role boundaries, and to create safe spaces within school to participate and create inclusive environment for participating in such activities. And the last one, strengthening collaboration with teachers, parents, NGOs, and child protection unit. Next slide, please. So thanks everyone for your time and your attention. It was a pleasure for me to share with you my experience regarding this methodology, which is so necessary in the Albanian context.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Bora. The next presenter will be Olga Mititelu, educator from Terdesom, Romania. She will be sharing with us a case study on the benefits of implementing the I Support My Friends methodology. Olga, please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My colleagues have just walked you through the foundations, what mental health means for children, why peer support matters, and how I Support My Friends works. Now I'd like to show you what it looks like in practice. This is a case study from Bucharest, Romania, a real school, real class, and a real problem and a question. Can a structured methodology change a group that was frankly in crisis? So let's see together. Next slide, please. In July 2025, my colleagues and I trained a group of specialists, teachers, school counselors, educators, social workers. An important detail, at the time of the training, we did not know where or with whom they would apply I Support My Friends. Each specialist chose independently the context of implementation. It actually reflects the flexibility of the methodology. It works across very different settings. Out of the group trained, 3 participants went on to apply I Support My Friends directly with children. Today, I focus on one of these cases, not because the others aren't relevant, but because it is the most complete. The work with children has finished, and we can look at the full arc from start to results. The other 2 implementations are currently ongoing. Next slide, please. So 22 children, 12, 13 years old, 6th grade. 3 of them had special educational needs. They participated in all sessions alongside their peers with no separate track, but I'll come back to this a little later. The picture on the right is a post-it note written by one of the children at the beginning of the process. It reads, "What I expect from my classmates, to learn that sometimes it's good to listen." That single note captures the whole challenge for this group. The issues in this case, and in this class particularly, touched 2 areas where I Support My Friends proved particularly relevant: classroom management and bullying dynamics. This is one of the things I want to highlight today. The methodology is flexible enough to address both at once. Next slide, please. Thank you. And in October 2025, during Școala Altfel, it's a different week, the alternative school week in Romania. Aida Manea, the school counselor trained by us, ran 2 sessions of 3.5 hours each with the whole class. The focus was group cohesion and introducing the look, listen, link principles as a shared framework. A note on terminology, as my colleague said before, all children who went through these sessions became, in the language of I Support My Friends, peer supporters, meaning they were equipped with the tools to support each other. This is not a separate role assigned to a few, it's the whole group, all participants. From November 2025 to February 2026, 4 follow-up sessions of 1 hour each kept the work alive, with a specific focus on communication, conflict management. Also, the look, listen, link principles were revisited consistently to the point where they became a shared language within the group. Next slide, please. So Aida Mania is the school counselor at Geo Bogza School in Bucharest. She was trained by us in July. My colleague and I were her trainers, and I was present at the first session she ran with these children. What made this work was not just the methodology, it was also Aida. She already had a trust-based relationship with some of the students from this group. She creatively adapted the I Support My Friends activities to what this specific class needed. After the initial training, we accompanied her through 4 coaching sessions, 1 before she started, 2 during implementation, and 1 at the end. This mattered because it allowed her to reflect, to adjust, and feel supported throughout the process. That with this particular group was not always easy. An important thing to mention is that she was the facilitator and also acted as the focal point for the group and is acting continuously a focal point for this group. Okay, next slide, please. So change didn't happen overnight. With each session, children responded in increasingly collaborative ways, but it was gradual. There were sessions that we heard, especially with the 3 children with special educational needs, who at times disrupted the flow through comments, movements, lack of focus. But what Ada observed and what we discussed in our coaching sessions was that even those children began to shift. Not dramatically, of course, but noticeably. They started listening more, they started participating differently, their focus were there within this group. The quote on this slide, "I help others more now," came from one of the children. It's short, but it says everything about what I Support My Friends is trying to build, a sense of agency and responsibility toward the group. Next slide, please. These observations are based on Aida's direct experience with the group and also on feedback collected from teachers. This is not a formal pre-post evaluation with standardized tools. We have those too, but we refer now on the observations, on the real observations. The shift is consistent across multiple dimensions. Fewer conflicts, calmer climate, improved peer relationships, which is very important for a class dynamic, and more empathetic behavior. Teachers noticed it independently of Aida. That convergence matters, of course. One more thing that is worth mentioning is the academic performance. The original challenge included low academic results as a consequence of the relational issues in the class. We did not formally track whether grades improved, but several teachers noted greater engagement in class. Next slide, please. This is a nice drawing from the implementation period. Was made by a group of 3 girls during one of the I Support My Friends sessions. The activity is part of the methodology. Children are asked to draw their community, as Shkurta mentioned before, and then share in plenary which places make them feel safe and which do not. What they drew is striking: a village, all the children of the class, and at the center a shield. 3 figures holding it together, and the shield carries the initials RMS, Rebecca, Maria, and Sophie, the three girls who made it. When they presented it, they said the shield represents protection, teamwork, and support. The message they wanted to send to the class is we can protect each other if we do it together. For a group that had been marked by conflicts and low trust, this is not a small thing. Next slide, please. So why does I Support My Friends work? Looking at this case, three things stand out as to why I Support My Friends was effective here. First, children connected with it. The activities are interactive, grounded in real situations, and use language that 12 years old actually understands. This group, which had trouble sitting still and listening, engaged. Second, the impact was visible to others, not just to Aida. When teachers who were not part of the sessions notice a change, that's meaningful. And third, this is very important for replicability, it's sustainable. The look, listen, link principles are simple enough to become a shared language, shared reference long after the sessions end. And because the methodology lives with the school counselor, it doesn't disappear when external support does. So the last slide, please. I'll close with what I believe this case shows. I Support My Friends works not because it's a magic formula. We don't need these formulas. It works because it gives children a language for something they already feel. They want to be seen, they want to be heard, and they want to matter to each other. When the methodology creates the conditions and context for that, change follows. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Olga. Thank you very much, all the speakers, for these valuable presentations. Now we have the time to answer some questions regarding what you have heard from the speakers. Thanks a lot for your sharing and questions. In the Q&A, I can see a question that I'm putting here on the speakers table. Is from Sadia Hussain. Have you experienced that because of this peer support, the child, I think you mean peer supporter, also undergoes an emotional stress due to the nature of the issue? So any of you, dear speakers, if you want to take these questions, please feel free your experience.
I would like to offer my answer.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That is a very important consideration to have. During the training, I tried to emphasize that peer supporters are not expected to carry their friends' problems alone or act as counselors. So one of the key principles of the ISMF approach is recognizing one's own limits and knowing when to refer a peer to a trusted adult or a trusted professional. So it is possible that a young person providing support may feel emotionally affected, especially when a friend is experiencing serious difficulties. But for this reason, we focus not only on how to support others, but also on self-care, on boundaries, and the importance of seeking support for themselves when needed. So in our workshops, we also encourage the adolescents to see peer support more as active listening, showing empathy, and helping a friend connect with appropriate help, rather than taking responsibility to solve their problems. So this approach helps reduce the risk of emotional burden on the peer supporter while still providing meaningful support to the child in need. I hope that answered the question.
And if I may add something more, we have also the focal point who acts also as a support for peer supporters. So they have like a network of support for each other. And also it's very important. Thank you for questions.
Thank you very much. We have also another question that I think can be interesting for many of the attendees. How do you handle children, youth who are in need of being referred, but they do not consent their referral? From John Dave Tataro. Thank you. If some of you of the speakers would like to handle. So how do you handle children, youth who are in need of being referred, but they do not consent their referral? Any experience, suggestion on this?
I can start.
Thank you.
I think it's about sensitive situations. We have the confidentiality factor very important in this methodology. But we have also some situations where we will break confidentiality. And it's about the situations when a child is being at risk to harm himself. This is one of the situations. And also if we train like this our peer supporters, if it's not this case to harm himself or harm others. If it's not the case like this, we encourage peer supporters to observe, to be close to this person, to his friend, and to talk to a focal point, because it's an adult who will handle this situation with confidentiality on his behalf, and they will think together how to act. Maybe some colleagues can add something else, and I hope I answered to your questions.
If I may, I would like to add on it. I think what Olga mentioned is very important to know, that this is also a very good question and is one of the most important ethical challenges in peer support and also in psychosocial work with adolescents. In general, we respect a young person's autonomy, we encourage voluntary help seeking, but when they do not consent to a referral, the first step is usually to explore their concerns, to understand why they are hesitant, and provide more information about the benefits of seeking support. But the trust building and maintaining a non-judgmental approach is very often essential in helping them feel comfortable accepting help. So in other cases, as Olga mentioned, there are certain cases that we have to take priority for the safeguarding principles that we have in place. So in such situations, we as professionals have a duty of care and may need to involve appropriate adults or services, even if the young person is reluctant to consent.
Yes, if may I add? I would like to explain that this is not something that can be done in a day or in a session. It is a process that it really takes time, and we explain to the children why the referral is important and how he or she can benefit from it. By exploring the reasons and by making a connection with the children, we ensure them that we are there for them, everything is safe, and everything will be step by step. So we give the time, we make connection, and we gain their trust.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Let me add, Marta, a last comment, but the main elements have been covered by my colleagues. This is actually an issue that touches upon the overall child protection processes in different countries. And also it's something connected with the legal framework of its country. But what we have to underline is that if the the level of risk is high, then we should proceed with the referral, of course, informing the child that we should do that. Always the child should be well informed and explain the reasons behind our action, and also ensure all the emotional support that he or she might need. But just in case the level of risk is not that high, one thing that practically works is to ensure that we are in contact with this specific child, so we can observe if there has been any difference, any change in his or her behavior, so we can intervene if the concern is alarming at some point. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, the time is limited for questions and answers. So in case there are other questions we didn't have the time to reply, we will collect and we reply in written. Now we are kindly asking you, dear participants, to scan this QR code or go to the link in the chat and share your feelings about introducing I Support My Friends in your practice with children and youth. So we are curious about your feelings. How do you feel? In case you would have the opportunity to introduce this methodology in your practice. So you can scan the code and it will bring you to the Mentimeter and we will be able to see confidence. I think this is also interesting for our speakers to hear after their interventions how the attendees feel about it. And as we are approaching the end of the webinar, I'm also curious, really inspired. I'm also curious to hear from all of you, dear speakers, in a short sentence, let's say, just to be conscious of time. How do you see the possible sustainability and next steps of the I Support My Friends methodology? So we would like to hear some key takeaways from you. How do you see the possible sustainability and next steps of the methodology in terms of system level, so integration in terms of system level, and also in the culture of the school? In the meantime, we can see that we have inspired attendees, happy attendees who would like to introduce the methodology and also want to learn more about the methodology. That's why we will be sharing all the materials, presentation slides after the webinar. Okay, great to see, great to hear. So, in one sentence, how do you see the possible sustainability and next steps in terms of system level integration and school culture integration? Sorry for the limitation in time, but
Okay, can I start?
Sure, yes.
Okay, so regarding sustainability, I believe that ISMF can be integrated at the systems level by embedding this peer support approach within existing school well-being and mental health initiatives. At the school culture level, the ISMF contributes to creating a more supportive, inclusive, and emotionally aware environment. So because it encourages open conversations about mental health, it reduces stigma around seeking help, and then strengthens the connection between students, schools, and then mental health services. So I think it can be very sustainable.
Glad to hear this. Thank you very much for this inspiring key takeaway. And in the meantime, you can see that attendees feel supported, inspired, confident. So it's nice. Who's next?
I can continue.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Sorry, Bora, go ahead.
Okay. During the sessions, I saw a great potential of students. They were really inspired and really motivated to participate in the session. So I strongly believe that there are ways, and it is needed to be continued. In a school perspective, I would like to add that these sessions should be continue year by year, and we should continue to gather their feedback and to improve things and to do everything together with the children, not something separated where we see ourselves and as professionals, but as a group discussions. We can add things, we can improve things, we can change everything to their benefits.
Thank you. Eleftheria.
Yes, just one thing that actually I support my friends. It's is how we naturally should support someone who is in distress. So I can see sustainability if this type of approaches become a natural part of everyday school life without being defined by specific projects and tasks and deliverables. And this is the only way to actually achieve sustainability, because I support teaches something natural, to care about the other person. And that's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you. Olga.
Yeah, I wanted to say something similar to Eleftheria, that it's sustainable because it approaches and addresses the common sense, the empathy, active listening. So it's just wrap it up in a structure that can be easily taught and learned by the students. And we do need this. As Eleftheria mentioned in her presentation, we see in the world this need of a structured way to teach students how to be empathetic to each other and how to help each other. So that's all.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot for the presentations, and thanks a lot for these inspiring key takeaways. So it was really, yes, nice and inspiring and hopeful to hear that you see a possible sustainability. Also from the Mentimeter, we see that there is inspiration from the attendees' side. Before closing the webinar, we would like to hear about your feedback. My colleague has just launched a very short end poll. Your feedback is important for us to improve our future webinars, so please kindly complete this short poll before the official closure of the webinar. Thank you.
Marta, can we put the link to the poll in the chat?
I don't think so, because I think it's merged into the Zoom feature, but maybe Vicky, if you are able to do that, do it, please. Okay, so feedback is coming. Thank you very much. And as it was already mentioned at the very beginning, all the materials and the recordings will be available soon on the Child Protection Hub platform. We will share with you via email all the links. And thank you, Vicky, for putting the poll link in the chat. Hopefully it works now. Thank you. And there will be other 2 webinars in the series implemented in the frame of the Unity in Care project, as I mentioned at the very beginning. There will be one about the implementation of the Move and Engage methodology, and another one on the Child and Youth Advisory Board methodological toolbox during the autumn season. Of course, all the informations regarding the webinars will be shared on the Child Protection Hub platform. On the last screen, on the last slide of the presentation, I would like to direct your attention to the QR code. You can see this QR code brings to the project web page. We have a Unity in Care project web page on the Child Protection Hub platform. If you scan the code, you can find more information about the projects, what are the next activities, all the news results on the activities, additional resources, and you can stay updated on our upcoming webinars and activities. You can also find here the contact details of the project implementing partners on this slide. Our team, our colleagues are eager to continue conversations and answer any specific questions you may have about implementing the I Support My Friend methodologies in your own context, or in general about the activities in the frame of the Unity in Care project. I think the poll can maybe closed. Vicky, it's up to you. Thank you very much. And we can close the webinar now. Thank you very much for the attendees, for being with us today, dedicating time and attention. Thank you very much for all the speakers for sharing the experiences and implementing the methodology, because of course experiences can come after the implementation part. Thanks a lot also for the questions and all the inspiring insights shared on the future sustainability of the peer-to-peer support in the culture of the school. Thanks a lot. Take care and hope to see you at our next